Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how to draft a princess dart, an armhole princess dart. The measurements you are going to need are the shoulder measurements divided by 2 plus 0.5 sewing allowance, the armhole measurement divided by 2, the shoulder to bust, the shoulder to waist, the nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then the round bust and the round waist. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, and for all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for staying with me on this channel. So let's get started. Now the first measurement I'll be putting is the shoulder divided by 2 plus 0.5. Like I said, the shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5 plus 0.5, that is 8. Then the armhole measurement divided by 2 is 8.5. So I'm marking it like this. Okay, and then I'll draw it out. So that shoulder measurement I have up there, I'm going to put it here also and draw it like this. Okay, now the next thing is I'll come down by 1.5 for the shoulder slant, and then I'll add back 0.5 to join the shoulder to the back, and then I'll mark 3 inches as natural neckline. Then I'll draw the shoulder slant. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is to draw the neck wideness and the neck depth that I want. So I'm using 4 by 4. It's just for a draft. Okay, so I like marking out the box out like this to guide me when I'm drawing my curve. So I've marked it out. It's not compulsory, and then I've drawn the neckline. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark the shoulder to bust. The shoulder to bust is 10.5, and the shoulder to waist is 16.5. Then we are joining it to a lower bodice, you'll be adding ½ inch to it. So I've added ½ inch to it. So the shoulder to bust 10.5, shoulder to waist 16.5 plus ½ inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'll draw it out like this and like this. Okay, so on the waist, I'm going to be putting the waist divided by 4, which is 7.5 for this video, and then the bust is 9, and then I'll connect it straight to the chest line. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to draw the armhole. I'll draw out the armhole by measuring the armhole, what is left on this armhole, and get the midpoint. On that midpoint I'll go in by 0.75. This is my 0.75, and then I'll draw out the armhole. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to put the nipple to nipple measurement. The nipple to nipple measurement is 3.5. I'll put it on the waist and on the bust. Okay, so this is the bust, and then this is the waist. So I marked it on the seam allowance for the waist, and then I'll connect it. Now on the bust, I'll come down by 1 inch. And then on the waist I'll mark 0.75 on both sides. That's 3/4 on both sides of this this nipple to nipple line, and then I'll form my waist dart. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to come down from the bust at the side to mark the bust dart. So the bust dart is 1 inch for me. What you use to determine is the difference between your shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist for the front and shoulder to waist for the back. So mine is 1 inch. My shoulder to waist for front is 16.5, and then for the back is 15.5. But some people it's up to 1.5, 2 inches or 2.5, depending on yours. That's what you use. So I connect it to the bust point. That's the bust dart. So the next step we're going to do is to connect this midpoint of the armhole to the bust point. So I just use this curve ruler and make sure that the curvy part is resting on the bust side. It's very important. And then you just draw it from this bust point straight to the, from this midpoint of the armhole straight to the bust point. Then on this from that point here on the armhole, you will come down by 1 inch or 1.5 depending on what you want. So I'm coming down by 1 inch, and then from this point I also connect it to the bust point. Okay, so I make sure that it's not too curvy. You can see now. Okay, then from this point I'll extend it by 1 inch. This is to make up for what we are cutting out here. That 1 inch extension is to make up for what we are cutting out here. So it will just go like this, okay. So this is the 1 inch. Now you are just going to form another armhole here. It's very important that you replace this, because if you don't replace it, it's going to affect it when you are, it will not be enough when you are, this armhole will not join back effectively when you are correctly, or it will be, the excess will be there if you don't replace this. Okay, so when you cut, you just had 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here to join back your dart. So you're going to cut like this, and you make sure that you fold your darts while you are cutting. So this is very easy, right? To draft the back, I'm also going to put the shoulder measurement. So we are going to start with a zip allowance. The zipper allowance is 1.5. Okay, then I'm going to put the shoulder measurement, which is 8. Then the armhole measurement 8.5. Then I'll connect it. Then I'll come down by 1 for the shoulder slope for the front, and then add back 1/2 inch. And then here I'll mark the natural neckline 3 inches, and then I'll draw the shoulder slant. Okay, so I'm going to mark the shoulder to bust, which is 10.5, and then the shoulder to waist for the back, like I said, is 15.5 plus 1/2 inch seam allowance. So 10.5, 15.5 plus 1/2. So what I'm doing is just to get a straight line. So I'll draw it together. Now on the waist, I'll come in by 0.75 for the zipper dart, and then I'll slant the line across the chest line like this. I also do the same thing on the zipper allowance, like, okay, you can see it. So it's from this point now, I'm going to put the waist divided by 4, which is 7.5, and then the bust divided by 4, which is 9. So I'm going to connect it like this. Okay, now to put the dart for the back, I'll measure the actual back, the actual waist measurement for the back, and get the midpoint. Then from that point, I'll measure to this straight line, the first straight line that we have. So I have 4.5. So I'll mark that 4.5 also on the chest line, and then I'll draw a straight line. The essence is to get a straight line. Then I'll take 0.75 on both sides and come down from the chest line by 1 inch, and then I'll draw the dart for the back. So the next thing I'm going to do is to draw draw the armhole, and that's by dividing what is left by 2 and going in by 0.25. and then I'll draw the armhole for the back. Okay, so now for the back dart, all you just have to do is to connect this point to this point. Okay, so I'll just connect it like this, and you can connect it like a straight, it's not supposed to be curvy. You can just make it straight, but I'll make it a bit curved, not as curved as that of the front, so you can just blend it in like this. So this is for the back. This is a princess cut. Let me just draw the neckline for the back. So the neckline I'm using is 4 by 1 or 2. Okay, okay, so that's the neckline for the back. Now when you look at it, I've not cut it out yet, so you just have to add your seam allowance. What you took here is 1.5, so you add it back, the 1.5, and then you connect it. Then you're going to be adding your seam allowance. For this one, what we took for the front, what we took out is 1.5 here also, so we are going to add it plus seam allowance, but we're not adding it now until we cut and fold that. So you're just going to write what you're going to add back. So here is 1.5 plus 1.5 seam allowance, that's 3. But note that you had 0.5 here, 0.5 here to join these 2 points together, and then here you can add like 2 inches for this chest line. So when you fold, you're just going to extend this line by 2 inches, extend this one by 3 inches, and connect them together like the way I'm doing my hand. So this is just basically it. Now the difference between a bust dart and a princess the difference between a princess dart and a princess cut is that the princess dart is used for the front, and the princess cut is used majorly for the back. It can also be used for the front also if you just want it to be a style line. So what differs it is that there's no, if you are doing a princess cut, you will not have a bust dart, and you will not have this dart on the armhole. You're just going to connect it straight to the bust points. Like you can also use a princess cut for the front. It will just like a style line. It's just like a style line. Okay, but this one will give the breast a firm fit. Okay, these are the parts I'll be cutting out. I just marked it, and then I put the allowance that I'll be adding back on it. So I'm cutting open the waist dart up to the armhole dart, and then the neck, the shoulder, and then the side. You can see that I didn't really cut it through until I folded the bust dart, then we draw the line before cutting it out. Then you're going to cut the back. Thanks for watching this video. Please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share our videos, because it may be helpful for some people. Thank you.